Hello, everybody. How are you? This is our third lesson of this week, and we will continue from where we left off. We were talking about the turquoise coastline of Antalya and around, and now I wish to talk about Patara. Uh, Patara is on the coast 8 kilometers south of Zantos, and it claims Turkey's longest uninterrupted beach and an atmospheric Lycian ruins. While just inland of this beach and ruins is a little village of Gelemiş, and Gelemiş is almost never filled with travelers. So the traditional village life still goes on here. Patara's grand monuments lay scattered along the road to Patara Beach. The main section of ruins is dominated by the dilapidated 5,000-seat theater. The colonnaded street with re-erected columns runs north from here, and this would have been Patara's grandest boulevard, lined by shops and with the agora at its southern end. Away from the main ruins, there are plenty more remnants of Patara's long history. From the ticket booth along the Gelemiş-Patara Beach Road, you first pass by the 2nd century triple-arched triumphal Arton Modestus with a necropolis containing a number of Lycian tombs nearby. As you head along the road, next is the Harbor Baths complex and the remains of a Byzantine basilica before you arrive at the central section of ruins. While from the colonnaded street, a dirt track leads to a lighthouse built by Emperor Nero that lay claims to being one of the 3 oldest lighthouses in the world. This is the area of the ancient harbor and is home to the enormous granary of Hadrian, used to store cereals and olive oil, and a Corinthian-style temple tomb. Patara's place in history is well documented. It was the birthplace of Saint Nicholas, the 4th century Byzantine bishop of Myra, who later passed into legend as Santa Claus. Before that, Patara was celebrated for its temple and oracle of Apollo, of which only little remains. It was Lycia's major port, which explains the large storage granaries that are still standing. And as for the Patara's beach, it's backed by large sand dunes, and this splendid 18-kilometer-long sandy beach is one of Turkey's best. While due to its length, even in the height of summer, you can find a quiet spot. Depending on the season, parts of the beach are off limits, as it is an important nesting ground for sea turtles, such as İztuzu Beach, just like İztuzu Beach, and it always closes at dusk and camping is prohibited. You can get here either by following the road for 1 kilometer past the Patara ruins, or by turning right at the Golden Pension in Gelemiş and following the track waymarked with blue arrows. And that's it. Okay, I wish to talk about Kalkan now. Kalkan is a well-to-do harborside town built largely on hills that look down on an almost perfect bay. It's as just famous for its excellent restaurants as its small and central beach also. Just be aware that Kalkan is far more touristed and expensive than most other places on the coast, including neighboring Kaş. A thriving Greek fishing village called Kalamaki until the 1920s, Kalkan is now largely devoted to high-end tourism. Most people use Kalkan as a base to visit the Lycian ruins or engage in many activities in the surrounding area. Apart from the beach near the marina and Kaputaş, A perfect little sandy cove with a beach about 7 kilometers east of Kalkan on the road to Kaş. Options for getting wet include swimming platforms at various hotels, such as the Karatebutuk Hotel, Hotel Villa Mahal. These are open to the public for a nominal fee. Well, now it's time for Kaş. Well, for divers, this place, Kaş, is Turkey's hub for underground exploits with some excellent wreck diving just offshore. While a plethora of boat trips, kayaking tours, and hikes are all easily arranged from here, you can also take good walks around the Çukurova Peninsula. At the start of it, you'll find a well-preserved ancient theater about all that's left of an ancient Antiphalos, the name of the original Lycian town. Above Kaş, several Lycian rock tombs in the mountain wall can be seen even at night when they are illuminated. Lying just offshore, dominating the harbor view, is the geopolitical oddity of the Greek islet of Mace, which can be visited on a day trip. Antiphalos was a small settlement near here and the port for Phalos, the much larger Lycia town further north in the hills. This is a small Hellenistic theater, 500 meters west of Kaş's main square, and it could seat some 4,000 spectators and is in very good condition today. And there is also the King's Tomb. In order to reach it, you can walk up the Uzun Çarşı Sokak, Uzun Çarşı Street, the Roman era road that locals call Slippery Street, to reach the King's Tomb. A superb example of a 4th century BC Lycian sarcophagus, which is mounted on a high base and has 2 lions' head on the lid. If you are seriously into tomb viewing, you can also make a very difficult walk to view the rock tombs cut into the sheer cliffs above town. And there is Büyükçakıl Beach, Pebble Beach in English. For swimming, you can head for Büyükçakıl Beach. It's a clean beach, 1.3 kilometers from Kaş's town center. Although it's largely pebble-based, there's a few meters of sand at one end, and there are shaded cafes for refreshments, which also rent out sun loungers and sunshades. And you can also visit Liman Ağzı. If you are after a full day on the beach, the best idea is to hop off on one of the water taxis in Kaş Harbor and head for one of the 3 beaches on the peninsula opposite at Liman Ağzı. All 3 beaches have cafes, and you can rent sun loungers and sunshades. You can also hike here along a nice trail that begins at Büyükçakıl Beach. And there is also Akçagermi Beach. It's a public beach opposite the exit to Gökseki along the main road west to Kalkan from Kaş. There are also tours. Kaş is a regional center for diving in the Mediterranean, and there are wrecks and a lot of more underwater life than you would expect below the surface. And it's also an excellent base for exploring the region further, and travel agencies here offer a huge range of day tours and adventure activities also. Okay, now I wish to talk about Kekova. Declared off limits to development, Üçağız is a fishing and farming village in an absolutely idyllic setting on a bay amid islands and peninsulas. Little has changed here over the years, and the lanes behind the harbor is a watercolor-worthy scene of rustic cottages and rural life. Üçağız is a regular stop on the Gulet circuit and the jumping off point for visiting the sunken city at Kekova and the secluded settlement of Kaleköy. During summer, an armada of tour buses pull into the car park, rush groups onto the waiting boats, and then shuffle their sunburned chargers back onto the buses at the end of the day, while each of us snaps back into snooze mode for the evening. Staying overnight with little to do except appreciate the glorious silence is a delight. If you like peace and quiet, that's just for you. A few words about where you are and what's what. Well, the village you enter from the coastal highway is Üç Ağız, ancient Theomisia, with its own Lycian necropolis. Across the water on the peninsula to the southeast is Kaleköy. Locally, it's just called Kale, means castle. It's a protected village on the site of an ancient city of Simena. South of the villages and past the channel entrance is the long island of Kekova with its famous underwater ruins. Local people generally use this name to refer to the whole area. To the west on the Sıcak Peninsula is Akarley, an isolated and very evocative ancient Lycian city on the Lycian Way. Well, given the difficulty of getting to the Kekova area by public transport, most people end up taking a boat tour from Kaş or Kalkan, which starts with a bus ride to Üç Ağız, where you will board the boat. Along the northern shore of Kekova Island are ruins, partly submerged 6 meters below the sea and referred to as the Batık Şehir, which means sunken city. These ruins are the result of a series of severe earthquakes in the 2nd century AD, and most of what you can still see is the residential part of an ancient Simena. Foundations of buildings, staircases, and moorings are also visible. It is forbidden to anchor or swim around near the sunken city. After the visit to Kekova, you will have lunch on the boat and then head on to Kaleköy, passing a couple of submerged and very photo-worthy Lycian tombs just offshore. There is usually about an hour to explore Kaleköy and climb up to the hilltop fortress. Kaleköy is a water paradise, and it is one of the Western Mediterranean's truly delightful spots, and it's home to the ruins of ancient Simena and an impressive Crusader fortress perched atop the hamlet looking out to the sea. Within the fortress, the ancient world's tiniest theater is cut into the rock, and nearby you will find ruins of several temples and public baths. From the top, you can look down upon a field of Lycian tombs, and the old city walls are visible on the outskirts. Kaleköy is accessible from Üç Ağız only by boat. You can reach there in 10 minutes by boat, or on foot, it's 45 minutes, along a track that is part of the Lycian Way Trail. Well, the town of Kale, it is officially Kale, which means castle, but it is called by its old name, Demre, by just about everyone. And this town was once the Lycian and later Roman city of Myra. By the 4th century, it was important enough to have its own bishop, most notably Saint Nicholas, who went on to catch the Western world's imagination in his starring role as Santa Claus. Once treated on the sea, Demre moved further inland as precious alluvium, deposits of clay, silt, sand, and gravel, flowed from the Demre stream. That silting is the foundation of the town's wealth, and it remains a major center for the growing and distribution of fruit and vegetables. The street going west from the main square to the Church of St. Nicholas is pedestrian Müze Caddesi, Museum Street, and is lined with cafes and shops. And Alakent Street leads 2 kilometers north to the Lycian rock tombs of Myra, and it's a 20-minute walk. Okay, I will continue to talk about Demre in our next video, in next lesson, and I will see you there, okay? Take good care, bye-bye.